What's going on, y'all? What's going on? We're gonna wait a couple minutes. We're gonna break some stuff down. We do got the infamous ADP today, as well as unemployment claims. Going to be going live with the news of students during that later on today. But it's gonna be interesting to see how price plays out because yesterday price didn't really do too much. But we're gonna break that down a little bit. We're gonna wait for some people to hop up in here. Glad to see what this next 15 looks like. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Let me know how we sounding. Let me know how we sounding. So if y'all wasn't alive yesterday, and you look at the charts, not too much went down yesterday. Gold made new higher highs. But besides gold making new higher highs, I didn't take that setup, that was a buy setup. But besides gold making new higher highs, nothing really too much happened yesterday. US30 struggled to break above and hold 45 through 30 as support, but also respected 44,960 as support. NAS100 ended up just ranging in this box yesterday. Failed to break above and hold 23,475 as support. Also failed to hold 23,340 as resistance. So again, we're kind of still stuck in that range where, depending on what side the coin it lands on, will determine if the downtrend comes into play, the uptrend comes back into play. Because again, last week we caught this higher high. Friday we had that reversal. Then this was Monday, and then Tuesday we had that big drop to the downside. But again, it failed to hold that level as resistance. Like you can see right here. Tuesday did that drop we were looking for twice. But then it failed to hold the resistance. Again, it's what price was looking like last night going into another session. We were looking to see if we could test what we get at resistance. Price failed to do so. Then before market close, it did break back below, but again, it failed to hold as resistance. So we're kind of still just, as you can see, consolidating the chart right now. But we do have at 15.830 today, GBP, and we have unemployment at 830. We also have 10-year USD news. So it's going to be interesting to see what the news does today. Charts, because we need some volume. Obviously, there was nothing that volume wise yesterday. The only thing that kept on pumping was gold. Gold for the past 2 weeks. But besides gold, everything's just been ranging. GU as well. We was looking for that sell setup. But then GU to this London session open. Failed to hold as resistance. Failed to hold this low as resistance. Did a small drop here. But I really ultimately still failed to hold this low as resistance. So I ended up retracing all there yesterday after we did a nice drop the day prior, right? But last night it did maintain 34.40 as resistance, as you can see right here. So we're going to be looking for sales of about 34.15 as resistance. We're going to be looking for sales going down to 33.95. Right, we had that reversal Monday. You see a nice little low come into play right here. So we're going to see how price reacts to this level right here. GJ still is ranging. And ended up doing the move yesterday that we was looking for on Tuesday. But still, even after did that move on Tuesday, yesterday, we broke open or going into the week, it still filled 200 or less support, and we're still kind of consolidating, stuck where we left off. Right. So again, we're just gonna leave it alone today. Unless, with the news pops up, we can hold 199.70 as support, or it could break below 197.90 and hold that as a resistance. Because again, we're just still stuck in consolidation. You can see our price is still kind of struggling here. It keeps on attempting to hold the lower support. It's still showing the bullish momentum because we are still respecting 198.50 as support. But again, we just need the volume to not only maintain this lower support, but hold this lower support, because again, we get the highs twice, but we're struggling to break past and hold this low that support right here. It's very similar to what gold was going through up until last week, obviously, right? They kept on constantly struggling to break the high, rejection, and the volume finally came through last week, broke through that level. We also see that retracement we was looking for. So again, gold could end up retracing even more, but we are going to be still looking for buys on gold, right? We can look for buys as well as 3,500. They do a nice retracement, retest to 35.15. Now it's trying to retest and hold 35.33 to 35.34 package support. So we can hold as gold can provides me at 35.56. So there are a few setups we're looking at right now, but we really just need a volume, because again, look at all these charts. It's kind of been chop city. So we didn't take a trade yesterday. And again, this is just how the markets are sometimes. I know some people don't like it or aren't used to it, especially when we go from taking multiple setups and having a week like last week where there was a bunch of volume, literally everything doing as projected. And we go to a week like this, this can confuse a lot of people, or a lot of people get frustrated or not like it, the reality, or people blame me as well, like, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you taking any setups? But this is why it's important to understand the charts, because again, like I always talk about, trading is not the same thing as regular 9 to 5, right? When you work a regular 9 to 5, say 9 to 5, not a salary job, right? You're working an hourly paying job. As long as you show up the same time every day, you work the same amount of hours every week, the paycheck's going to be the exact same every week, every 2 weeks. But with trading and running a business, that's not the case, right? You might show up the same times every day. You might look at the same sellers the same times every day. You might look at the same players the same times every day. But how the charts play out on a day by day basis is different, right? So that's why it's important to understand what's going on with the market conditions. Because again, at the end of the day, if the markets ain't moving, the markets ain't moving. I can't do nothing about that. You can't do nothing about that. So you either crash out and take a bunch of shitty setups so there's low volume and get your stop loss whipped over and over again, or you can wait for volume to come in so we can actually hit TPs and avoid our stop loss getting here, right? So that's just really the two choices we got. So this is a nice drop right here. So we're going to see if we can break and hold 34.15 as resistance. That's what we're going to be looking at right now. We're going to see if we can hold that level as resistance. Again, y'all make sure like the live, you hop up in here, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When you charts, drop them in the chat. We're going to see if we can break this level right here. We're going to see if we can break this level right here. What's going on, Hassan? Get ready to drill with less than this. See, that's another thing. Every trade is going to be different, right? Every trade is going to be different. So that's another reason why you'll see a lot of times um, you'll see online a lot where people will be like, "Oh, I made my stop loss smaller so that my risk to reward will be bigger." But at the end of the day, your stop loss shouldn't be small or placed so your risk reward should be good. Your stop loss should be placed where if price was to break past this level and keep on going in that direction, I was wrong, right? So when we look at GJ, we took a buy here, right? The reason why our stop loss was here is because look what price did. It retraced back, almost respected the level of support, right? But also when the price hit the stop loss, look how price reacted, right? Then came back down, right? We also see here the same area we had the stop loss. Price was also still going to respect the support, right? Just like when we go to gold, right? Our stop loss was placed here because the price would have broke past this wick area, we would have most likely went to the downside, right? So again, the stop loss is placed for a reason, right? And you're not supposed to place your stop loss or your TP based on how much money you're trying to make. Your stop loss and TP should be placed based on your trading strategy and what you see on the charts, right? You make your money on the back end, right? But again, gold, depending on your account size, you shouldn't be trading gold anyways. Right? Same thing with US30 SBS. So if your account size is too small for a stop loss, then you probably shouldn't trade gold. You should go to a currency pair, right? But again, I don't do that. Like people ask me all the time, like how much is your stop loss, how many trades you take per day, and it's always situational, right? Every day is different, every week is different, right? Like you look at how we did last quarter. What was last quarter? Yeah, this was last quarter. Right, we went 17-3 last month, 14-1 the month before that. Well, this is quarter one. And we went 13-1 March, right? So every week, every month was different, right? We didn't take the same amount of trades every month, right? We also caught different amount of pips depending on the chart, the pairs we traded, right? Our win rate was also different, right? Because again, every week, every month is different. We go into the advanced play signal room, and I show you signals. You're going to see that we call trades at different times. It's not robotic where we enter trades at the same time every day. You know what I'm saying? And also, you'll see that again, if we compare futures and forex pairs, the stop losses are different as well because again, it's situational based on the charts and the setup I'm looking at. All right, so let me show you a couple stuff. These are old signals, by the way. I'm just showing y'all examples, right? Because again, last week we still caught a lot of pips and made a lot of bread, but last week we had to wait for New York session for majority of the trades, right? Well, obviously we go live London and New York session. So I'm going to show y'all literally how last month every day varies, right? Because again, it's the reality of trading. Every day you look for the same setups and things like that, but every day the outcomes are going to be different, right? Just like yesterday, right? I didn't take a trade yesterday, not because I wanted the day off. I didn't take a trade yesterday because, again, none of my confirmations were met for any of my setups. So I either A, take a bunch of shitty setups, then hurt my profits, or go online like everybody else and complain about price action being bad, or B, I acknowledge the market conditions. I acknowledge, like I always get at the beginning of the week, extended chart analysis. Okay, these is the conditions news-wise. Is all the conditions for the week. Again, first last week, month, the toughest weeks to trade. Last week wasn't tough, but it required a lot more patience. This week, again, we're still not holding levels we need to be held. Only one that's really been moving has been gold. So again, I talk about this all the time. I knew this was the first week of the month. I knew last week was the last week of the month. So I was prepared for the market conditions to be the way they were. And guess what? We still was able to make bread August while everybody I really believe people are just being sheep on the internet. But I refuse to believe everyone online had a terrible month last month. Like I genuinely believe, I refuse to believe everyone online had a bad month last month. But that's besides the point. What's going on, Eric? I see up in here. Audio sounds muffled. Does it still sound muffled? Let me pull out my phone to see if it still sounds muffled. If I ever sound choppy, let me know. I'll try to fix it. Let's see how we sounding. All right, we sound better. We sound better. But if I get choppy again, let me know, or just come out and come back in. All right. So again, we're waiting to see if we can hold this over as resistance right here. price rejected. We're going to see if we can close. We got about a minute and a half to the next 15 pops up. GJ still doing what GJ does. Again, y'all, if you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When we look at any charts, drop them in the chat. So I'm going to show you a couple examples. And these are old signals. I'm just showing y'all examples of how every day is a little bit different. So what I want y'all to pay attention to when I show these is the times, and also, the stop losses, how many pips the stop losses are, how many points the stop losses are, depending on if we're looking at the forex pairs, of course. Because again, this is the reality of the trade. That's why I like to guys, so y'all can see, one, so y'all can understand what I'm looking at, but two, so you also see the reality of trading, right? Because every day is different. Every day is different. Just trying to push up. It's like goals, but I'm trying to do a move right here. Again, if gold can hold a 35, 34 support, we look for buys going to 35. And GBPUSD trends in the movements line. B15 is popped up. The charts go. Again, y'all, if you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When we're looking at the charts, drop them in the chat. Looking for sales on GU because we have bearish momentum. GJ still doing what GJ does. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, all these charts are kind of ranging. Again, we got news at 8:15-30. Going to go live with members of students during that. Let's see what's going to hold here. Okay, we're good. We signed a better record. Cool. Right. So again, this is the middle of the month. I'm not going to go all the way to the beginning, but you can see here. Scroll up a little bit. Right. We see we took this trade during London session, right? But again, we didn't take this trade at 3 a.m. on the dot. We took this trade an hour, almost 2 hours into London session, right? But we still took a trade during London session, right? This was 4:39 a.m. Right? Then we go to the next day, right? We had news, so we didn't trade until after the news, right? Because usually when there's high impact news events, if there's low volume, usually the volume picks up after the news, right? So we went live during the news, because we know price washes, blah 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 blah. Right, and then we took a trade after the news 10 a.m. Right, but again, the game plan was still the same, but because the market conditions and news events were different that day, we had to act accordingly. Right, then the next day we took a trade 3 a.m. on the dot. Right, and then we mentioned that. Right, so we went from a trade at 4:39 to a trade at 10 a.m. to the next trade. So the next day we took a trade at 3:09, 9 minutes into the session. Right. But these were all still successful trades, right? But the difference is, again, it's all about market trust, right? We go to another day, we didn't take a setup. I don't think we took a setup that day. I didn't see a setup, who knows, right? We took this one at an hour session. We took this one 10:30 a.m., right? So you see, we take setups different times. Again, we got news this day, so we went live during news. Right. We go to the next day, we took a trade again, 4:16, right? So you see every day is slightly different, right? But again, the results are still the same where we're making more than we're losing. But again, you see we take trades at different times, at the exact same time. And if you pay attention to the entries at sells, you'll also see that the entries at sells are the same either, right? Not every trade forex wise is a 50 pip stop loss. Not every trade futures wise is X amount of pips, X amount of pips, right? Right, but the results are still the same. But right. So again, once you just understand The best time to go into the charts, you understand the market conditions, and you can simply just wait for your setups. That's all that matters, right? Like last week, you saw the week before last week was taking trades during London and New York session, but last week we didn't have any setups play out until New York session, right? So we're still live London session, but again, last week we didn't took a trade strictly and only during New York session last week. Not because I didn't want to trade London session, not because I wanted to sleep. It's because again, those were the market conditions. There's only setups besides this one during London session, right? See what I'm saying? So it's just one thing you just gotta understand. You just gotta be patient, understand what's happening on the charts, wait for your setups, right? And again, if you don't have good market conditions, don't take a setup. Right, and again, we look at the charts. US30 yesterday, right? This was a London session, failed to break above this level, failed to hold this level. Did do a nice drop, but again, this was at like 1 o'clock. I don't trade after, I don't take setups after 12. I'll hold a setup after 12, but I'm not looking for entries and setups after 12. So that's why I didn't take a trade yesterday. But again, price was still drop city, didn't do a big move down, didn't do a big move up. Right? Same thing NAS. NAS failed to hold as low by support. So we didn't go for buys like we did last week, right? But also failed, again, this was the London session, to hold this level as resistance. So we didn't go for stops on Tuesday, right? So again, instead of getting wicked out over and over again due to impatience or because I want to take a trade just to take a trade, I decided not to take a trade. Now, whether you like love or hate it, whether you want to get back here or not, guess what? I still keep trading plan. And again, this is why I win rate so high, because we only take setups, high probability setups, right? Not going to just take a trade just to take a trade to hurt my profits for no reason. Again, we just had a great week month last month, had a great week last week. You understand what's going on this week, right? We need volume to break these levels to continue trends. We also just had new all-time highs broken literally in the past few months. So again, the market conditions are a little bit funky. But because we understand that stuff, again, we either acknowledge it and act accordingly, or we just do dumb shit and hurt our profits, right? So gold slowly run as projected. But yeah, gold's been the only thing really moving. It didn't really do a retest. I did a quick retest, but it's still going as projected. But besides gold, everything else is just going to show. So we're going to see if NAS is going to hold as low as support. It did do a nice drop, but it failed to hold that level. If you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When we do any charts, drop them in the chat. But the game plan is still the same as yesterday, right? US30 was still bullish, like we talked about in the Monday chart analysis. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to watch that. Let me go ahead and put that again. Hit the first link in the description for Telegram. If you now watch the Monday chart analysis, make sure to watch the Monday chart analysis. But like we talked about with US30, I said we could see price retrace, and as long as we continue 44.960 as support, we're still bullish. We see Tuesday and Wednesday price with that level, we still held it as support. But at the same time, I'm only going to look for buys if we can break back above 45 to 30 as support. 45 through 30 as support. We could look for buys going back up to 45 for 60. Right, with NAS100, we can look for buys at 23,470. And we want 23,470 as support. We can look for the same buy sets we went for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Going for buys at 590. But we're going to need a whole lot of support for us to get back to the previous high or break and surpass the higher high. Now, why would we put ourselves here? Because again, like we talked about yesterday, depending on what side the coin price is, also going to determine if the uptrend or downtrend is going to come into play. Again, we caught the higher high last gold and on NAS100, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously, saw we took trades Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So gold, we caught the entire high last week on gold. Every single day, gold gave us a new setup, leading to the all-time highs getting broken. But on Friday, price reversed, right? So again, when we go through this is why it's important to understand our charts. We pull out the best trading book in the game. Find it really quick. Pull out the price action technical analysis book. What does it say about the range to the uptrend? It says right here, in order for the uptrend to continue, we need to break past the previous high, which gives us a higher high. We also have to what? Respect the support level. The higher low is resting. So this was the higher low, give us the higher high. You can see here how price was respecting that low as support up until on Friday, where price went past it and started with the next resistance, right? And we saw Monday, price retest and turn a level into resistance. So that's why we're looking for sells here and buys here, because if the levels was resistance, we're going to see possible level of downtrend come into play. But if we can maintain this level back to support, we're going to see the bullish momentum come back into play. So this is a little bit of a patience game. Whether you like love or hate it, again, the markets are not going to always every day, week after week after week, especially 2 weeks, 4 weeks in a row. Just have nonstop volume of pumps to the upside or downside. Like last week was a good week, but last week is not going to be like every week. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to take advantage of weeks like that, but also understand why the week played out the way the week played out. But again, we're just waiting on volume. So like always, we're going to see me 5, 6 a.m. I'm personally just going to wait till after the news. And then we have news at the beginning of the New York section for the stock market open, 8:15, 8:30. We also have news event at 10 a.m. I'm mainly more concerned about these two news events. 10 a.m. news events sometimes bring in volume. But I don't really care too much about 10 a.m. news events. You should still respect and understand that they're going to be coming into play. But on the average, it's mainly like the 8 a.m., 8:30, 9:30, and like 2 o'clock news events that be having the most volume. But again, that doesn't mean 10 a.m. news won't have any volume because it's still a high impact news event. Let's see what this next 5 minutes looks like. We got a few minutes till the next 15 pops up. Appreciate those that like the live. Make sure to like and subscribe, y'all. If you ain't subscribed already. It's not, I know it's not relevant. Oh, it is. That's why I did for that side. Can I enter gold right now? Wait for the retest. Son, you gotta pay attention, my boy. You gotta pay attention. Everything I say is for a reason, right? So, what did I say about gold? What did I say about gold? Right. So this is why I be telling you I gotta pay attention. This is why when I be doing the recaps of the days and the weeks, I be telling y'all like, look, I be telling y'all this stuff before the markets open at the beginning of the week in the Sunday and Monday chart analysis. And that's why I always be talking about if you're not watching your team, that's why every weekly, monthly recap, end of the weekly, I always say a lot of setups when that's projected from the Sunday chart analysis and session lives. If you're not watching your team in there, this is out. And this is why every time I do the recap of the day, I always say it's trade down as well as other sets of that's predicted today. So I watch the full stream here. I don't just say that because I want y'all to watch my YouTube videos, right? I say that because it's facts, right? Go to last week's Sunday chart analysis. Before the markets open, do not talk about gold buys. Do not talk about man. We did, right? What did we do before we took these setups. And I showed you all last week we took setups during the New York session. When you go to the lives during the session, these setups we took on NAS and gold Monday through Friday. We talked about during those live streams as well as later on, right? So you guys got to pay attention to what I'm saying, right? So you saying, can you enter gold now? You wait for the retest. You always want to wait for a retest. Like I said, if we can hold 35, 32 as support, we can look for buys going to 35, 55. Right? Price retested that level and pushed up. The reason why I'm not in it, because again, it's not at my entry, right? Same reason why I didn't take the NAS100 setup during London session on Tuesday, but I took the setup during our New York session. Why? Because price did not retest the low as resistance. The price retested this low as resistance, right? So I always recommend waiting for the retest confirmation. But you gotta pay attention to the price point. Let me tell you how the best price points to look for these. So, if you always want to look at all my setups, you always retest. Okay, always based off retest. Always based off retest. Always based off retest. Always based off retest. And that's why I be teaching with the members of students as well. So I always tell members of students to watch the photos I send as well, because again, nothing I ever do is just for kicks and giggles, right? Everything's for a reason, right? So again, we go back to the basketball school. Right, this was last week. I walked down NAS and gold every day last week. Right, so look, again, I didn't just do this just to do it. I'm showing y'all what we're looking for. I be doing the arrows here. I don't. I promise you, we do stuff with theatrics. And this is not being hard. I just have to emphasize this because I understand not everybody talking about, but I'm one person. Everything I say is for what I mean. Right. So again, I'll be using this arrow and I'll be doing this stuff. I'm showing y'all visibly what I'm looking for. It's like when I pull out the price action technical analysis playbook. When I go live on TikTok, by the way, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I see it scrolling at the screen. Instagram, clinic underscore way, TikTok underscore clinic way underscore. Right. When I go live on TikTok, pull out the book, and I'll be showing y'all just like you have the book, right? This I'm showing y'all what we're looking for to happen. Also, I'm visibly showing y'all the highs and lows that need to be respected, right? Everything's for a reason, but now that you know, you're gonna start to notice and pay attention to it. Right? So that's why I'm putting so much emphasis on it, so you can now start to notice it the next time that you're looking at it today and tomorrow. Right? But again, right, London session on the 26th, all week we're looking for NAS and gold buyers, right? So again, you see here, 2020, to the NAS back of those zones, you just slow dips. And then I'm showing you that we're looking to see a NAS for support. That gold just retested this level. It's going to maintain a level of support to the upside. Also showing you GBPJPY. Right? You can see here, back doing the screenshot showing NAS pushing back up into the level of that support. And also showing you that gold held the level of support, which allowed price to push to the upside again. This line right here is where you want to enter at. This bottom right here is where you want to enter at, right? So if my line's right here, that means I'm looking for an entry off this level, right? But obviously, so that's why when you go to GJ, right, my entry is here because I want to enter here at price like we were looking for Tuesday, but they didn't do the move for yesterday, right? You see how there's an entry, price retest how the support did the move. You see how I did the same thing before. You see how it's doing that right now. There's like the goal set. right? So we go back to here, see, we interrupt the retest, price push, and I was trying to hold into support, right? And you see here, what, NAS, expecting low support, upside, right? So we call stop loss for a reason. We go to the next day, you see the same thing. Right, we're talking about buys. Again, you see how price came to this level, held at that support, push it upside, right? So that's why a lot of people got fucked up on what was it, Wednesday with NAS100. There's been a lot of people saw price make a lower low, hold it down on a smaller time frame, but were bullish on a bigger time frame. So that's why when the New York Open happened, a lot of people looking for sales here and fell for quote unquote fake out liquidity, right? One, price did not hold its low as resistance, which is again why we wait for the retest. But just because price breaks a level doesn't mean it's ready to hold that level, right? So let's move this out the way. I showed this also what there was. So again, that's why I say if we can break and hold that support, break and hold that resistance, we just do it and it broke this level, but it didn't hold that support. No. Did it hold that support? No. Provided price pushed on Thursday compared to Tuesday and Wednesday, the price broke the level, held that support. Right? Same thing with gold, for instance, right? For example, again, we just showed this setup. We just showed this setup on 26. Right, gold broke that level, but did it hold that support? No, which is why we don't just enter this price touch the level when it's key price can hold it. Right, same thing here. This is why we don't breakout trade because price broke this level, but did it hold? No. Price broke this level, did it hold? No. But what did price do? It broke and held, right? Retraced, held, right? Same thing here. Price broke, but it didn't hold until the short session. Right, same thing here. Price broke this level, but did it hold that support? No. But what did it do here? It broke it, held that support, which is why when volume kicked in, it bumped it up. So you see what I'm saying? That's why we're showing the numbers to us. All right, so we go to the next step. Again, here, you went from highs because it held that support. That's why price when volume kicked in into the upside, right? Same thing here. All right. Again, price broke this level. You see here how it didn't hold that support. You see here how it retested it's holding that support. You see a clear difference between this break and this break and retest, right? Which is why again, as a gold currently, look what happened once New York Open happened. Boom. Now why did that happen? Because price held the level of support. That's why I was able to catch that push. Right? So again, if you go with the flow of price, you enter buys of support, you enter sells off resistance. Not only do you have the probability of price continuing to go up and down, depending on if you enter buy or sell uptrend or downtrend, but you also have that extra push and momentum to help push price your way, right? Which we see gold doing. What we saw in the last gold do last week. Oops. But yeah, these two here, charts are still kind of chilling. Low still only one moving. Or that's still kind of chilling. Probably gonna be like this until the news pops off. Q did do a nice drop, but again, failed to hold as resistance. Imagine this is also why we want to wait to see if price can hold as resistance. But imagine you got excited and try to go for that sell here. This price broke the instead of waiting for it to close to see if it could hold. We would have took a loss for no reason. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, good discussion. And GJ's doing this thing as well. You could go for the setup, But honestly, I'm at the point where I just want to see if we can hold this level of support or break down below for that reason. Because again, it keeps on attempting to hold, but again, we're stuck in that consolidation right now. So I'm going to see us break out of that consolidation. Because if we can break out of the consolidation, if we're buy here, break out of consolidation, if we sell here, then we see how the volume kicked in underneath this consolidation. Just like how the volume's going to kick in if we can break above this consolidation. Right, it's kind of just like GU back in the day, earlier this year. It's kind of like GU earlier this year. Look at it, I already got it marked out. Ain't that perfect? Right, so this is also why we're looking for sales. This is what we was talking about probably last week or one-on-one sessions earlier this week, right? So again, we was looking for buys and we got those high buys in August. The price fell to the resistance level. Reverse, you see it holds up as resistance. So that's why we're looking for sales now, because if it holds up as resistance, we're going to see what? We're going to see the lower low come into play versus you wait for price to break above its overall support. We're going to see volume kick in, most likely see what? A high come into play, right? So again, that's why I don't go for anything and everything. I simply wait for price to come to where I want it to go, because I know if we can see our confirmations met at the prices I'm looking at, I have a higher likelihood of volume kicking in and also catching the move I'm looking for, right? But again, so we see here, right? There's consolidation. If a volume broke above it, maybe new right? Consolidation. Below it, there's volume. Above it, there's volume, right? Same thing here, consolidation. Broke above it, volume kicked down. Right? Consolidation. Above it, volume kicked down. Consolidation, broke below it, volume came in, right? So again, we can also see that again, consolidation is part of the game. So whether you like, love, or hate it, you can see that again there will be a week or two of volume, and then it's going to be some consolidation or a reversal. That's just a part of the game. So again, before you take a trade, you got to understand the market conditions. That way you can prepare and also understand why the fuck price is doing what it's doing, and why price is not doing what you want it to do. All right. So if you guys got any questions off the chat, start in the chat. Let's see what else resist. All right, somebody just left a comment on my post. Now I know you see on live. Are you in here? Let me pull it up. I don't think that's. Is that you? Let me see. Oh, that is you. Okay, so okay, I was to say, I was like, I know you see me live, hopping the live, but you are in the live. Okay, so I see your comment on the post. I can't really explain it in the comment section, so it's a good thing you're still in here, Hassan, because I see your comment you left in my recent post. You were saying you're stuck at placing your SL. I don't know where to put it. So that's one thing I go over in the Planet University in one-on-one sessions. But it's like I told you earlier, right? So again, the question is, let me just reread the question because it's not in the chat. Because I'm in my YouTube videos. So I stuck at placing my SL. I don't know how to place it. So basically, like I was talking about before, you want to put your SL where, again, where a lot of people mess up at is they have a lot size they like to put. So then because they don't want to change their lot size, then they have to adjust their SL and their TPs, right? That's why again, if you mathematically, right, we'll see a lot of people online, even big traders, right? Even some traders that are successful, they still have a flawed logic with this, but hey, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But at the same time, logically speaking, especially as smaller accounts, that's not going to be able to help you out that much, right? So a lot of times people will be like, oh, I'm gonna put this lot size or this contract size because I know every pick or every point I'm gonna make X amount of dollars, right? But at the same time, if it goes the opposite direction that I was looking for, you could lose X amount of dollars as well. Right? So that's why people will be like, oh, I put my stop loss smaller so my losses are smaller and my wins are bigger. Yes, but no. At the same time, your stop loss shouldn't just be small because you want a big ratio setup. That's how a lot of people get getting whipped out constantly, right? Because again, like I show you, most of the trades we lose, they either are small wins or they end up going the direction we was looking for the next day, right? Most of the losses we take is either because there's low volume or we get caught in the reversal, right? Again, exhibit A, we took a GJPY. Was we wrong to go for a buy here? No, we was bullish, but again, we can clearly see that the whole time we was in the trade, there was low volume. We can clearly see that all fucking week there was low volume, but we also see when there was volume that kicked in, which was yesterday, haha, they ended up doing the move we was looking for the next day. So again, was we wrong to go for this move Tuesday? No, because it obviously did the fucking move the day before and did the move yesterday, right? And it's trying to do the move right now, right? Same thing with NAS100, right? We literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you count this one, 6 trades in a row, winner setups on buys, right? Price retraced, retested, held a low support, went up to retest, but again, low volume, got caught in the reversal, right? Obviously, price switched trends for a little bit and then reversed back after Tuesday, right? But we got caught in a reversal. So it wasn't wrong for the setup, we were simply caught in a reversal. Trying to think, I don't think there was no recent loss because we don't lose that enough. Last week we only lost. I mean, last month we only lost with like 2 trades. How many trades we lost last month? Last month we only lost 2 trades. So, well, there goes those 2 trades we lost last month. So, let me see if we can find a trade we lost the month before. Man, but again, we don't really lose that much. So, not that many examples you can find. I'm trying to find lost. I think I just remembered it. I think I just remembered it. I want to say it was in plus 30s. Yes, 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 yes. Again, you can see it was riding US30 wave. Here it is, right? So we just the day before caught a nice US30 buy setup, right? So then again, price held up support, pushed up to here, was holding this low by support. We went for a buy here. We barely missed TP1. Again, when SL got hit, what did price do? And try to push back up again. Notice where price my SL is, and look how price reacted when hit my SL. It re-attempted to try to push back up, but then guess what? We got caught in a reversal. So again, all the losses we take in the advanced play signal are due to low volume or reversals. They're never due to us counter trend trading or just being dead wrong. It's always due to low volume or reversal. But then again, this was Thursday the 14th. Look what price did later on that day before market closed. And then the market at the Friday short session. Same exact move was looking for the day prior. Hold up. Doesn't this look like exactly what took place with GJ Tuesday and yesterday? Yes, because again, with the flow of price, the only time you're going to be wrong is either if you are not patient or wait for your confirmations, right? Because that's why we wait for a retest when you do a breakout trade, like we explained earlier, or because again, the volume will be a reversal. And again, you can clearly see we wasn't wrong to go for buys here, but it was bullish, but there was low volume, and we literally see the later on that day and the next day, and we needed the buy setup we was looking for, right? And then you see here again Monday, right? This was when Friday Monday session, y'all could have caught this move. But Friday on the 22nd, we entered this trade and broke this before the news popped off, and that's when I made the video because people was talking about You know, there's no way you could have saw that coming, blah, blah, blah. Right? That's another day, another conversation. Right, but again, Monday there was low volume, but then Tuesday, price was meaningful, right? So again, we didn't take this trade Monday, just like we didn't take a trade yesterday because it's low volume. So you see price struggling to hold a level of support, that's showing you that there's low volume. So again, you either A, wait for that volume, or B, you take that setup, constantly get looked out, then you become another person on TikTok talking about, oh, price action was so bad, August was just terrible. August was terrible because I kept taking shitty setups instead of waiting for the high probability setups, right? But it's also not a coincidence why price did what it did when the news popped off. So as far as stop losses, again, you don't want to make your stop loss based on how much you're not trying to lose or how much you are trying to lose. You base your stop loss or contract size based on how much you're trying to risk per trade. Again, a lot of mistakes I used to make and a lot of people making, they're trying to make their money on the front end. You make your money on the back end when it comes to trading, right? You make your money on the back end when it comes to trading. You're not supposed to make your money based on your lot size. Obviously, you make money or lose money based on your lot size or contract size, but you're not supposed to be making money based on your lot size, contract size, right? You're supposed to be or basing your plan based off of how much you make on the back end, which is the risk reward, right? So again, that's why last month I said, and we did the math on Fridays last week. Why, if you would have just I was like, that's not what I said. Here we go. I was like, I know I'm not tripping. I know I typed it right. So literally, if you would have reached 1% per trade last month, wins and losses, you would have made 40%. Right. That's not based on the stop loss. That's not based on the lot size. That's based on percentages. That's how a lot of people get fucked up, right? I get questions all the time, like, how can I make $100 a day? How can I make 1K a day? The first question is, what's your account size? Right, so your stop loss should be placed where price was to break past that level, like right here. Price was to break past this level, it's most likely to go the opposite direction. Right, so what you need to do is you need to review your trades. If your stop loss got hit, review your trades, see what price did after it hit your stop loss, see what it did the rest of the day. Do the same thing with your winners. Review your winners and your losers. That's the only way you're going to improve is by reviewing your winners and your losers. So goals pushing. It would have been a nice setup to take, but again, missed the retest. It didn't retest again for me. So again, student tomorrow is going to want a chase price. But again, everything but gold just has volume. Everything else just been ranging. So we're going to see if that's going to change today during the New York session. And we got 8:15, 8:30 USD news, as well as 10 a.m. USD news. Going to be going live with the new students during the 8:15 news. See what ADP unemployment claims is talking about. And then after that, we're going to be looking for some setups going into New York. But again, it looks like GJ trying to do something. G used to ran in. But yeah, it just takes practice, right? So I can say all that, but you still got to build charts and practice. That's all it does is just take practice, right? Like I didn't get this precise overnight. Again, we've been perfecting this strategy, my levels, my entries, my exits, literally since 2022, right? If you go to the beginning of the playbook, you'll see that my levels weren't even the way that my levels are now, right? Like we go, this is why I always tell people to go on here because literally I can't make none of this stuff up. I can't fake the funk, right? So we go all the way to where it all began. And if it loads, okay, you can see my screen. There it goes. If it loads, there we go. And you can see that my levels aren't even close to what they are now, right? This is not what my shit looks like no more. But in the beginning, I understood how the shit worked. I was still able to trade off this, but again, you're supposed to, with anything, improve as you go, right? So I was still eating off these levels, but as you can see, my levels are a lot more precise and make a lot more sense. Versus back then, I was just understanding how the shit worked and how there was a system to it. But again, as the years went by, the days went by, I reviewed trades day after day, week after week, and we improved, right? We're still eating, we're still catching pips, but again, I focused hard on my losses as well as hard on my wins and review my trades every week. And that's how we're going from the levels looking like that, right? Again, in 2022 to how the levels look now. Like a year after this, 2 years after this, right? I don't think I showed it anymore. I think it's all in the back, on the behind the scenes after this. Yeah, because this was before I went live. I didn't start going live on YouTube and shit until like 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And then again, I got ripped to my old uh, TikToks. By the way, make sure to follow my Instagram and TikTok. Y'all, you see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Instagram clinic underscore wait, TikTok underscore clinic wait underscore wait. All right, but as well, I'll be showing y'all this so y'all can see how things were before they are now. So again, now DJ is doing the move we were looking for on Tuesday. Did it yesterday. Failed to do it last night, but now it's doing it again right now. GU. Again, that's why we don't breakout trade. Broke that level, but guess what? It's reversing. Most likely doing this because gold's probably pushing as well. Yeah, look at gold pushing. The US30 NAS is still kind of ranging. All right, but again, we need to hold this low as support for the uptrend continue at 199.70. All right, but it takes time. That's why we tell people like I put in work to get to this point. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't just pop out the womb and learn how to identify key price levels and how the charts work to the T. Like I wasn't able to write the playbook because I was dicking around or just studying for 30 minutes a day. I told y'all like I put that work in to get to this point. So that's why I'm also so strict with myself because I'm not going to put in all that work and throw it all away because I get impatient or emotional and do dumb shit, right? So that's why I'm genuinely okay with it. Y'all should be okay with it too. Missing a couple pips, missing a couple candlesticks, or not trading a day if it makes sense. Because again, at the end of the day, the goal with trading is to make bread. We don't just make bread by entering buys and sell. We make bread if we enter buys and price goes up, if we enter sells and price goes down, right? So again, it's not just simply just being in trades just to be in trades. I ain't gonna cap. This would have been a nice goal set to go for. Would have been a nice goal set to go for. But like when price makes all-time highs, I don't really like to trade. That's why we didn't trade it yesterday or Monday. But now we have more levels to trade off of because those days ended, which is why we can see price doing what it's doing right now. While I was looking at this buy setup. But I would like to see a big retracement. So I would not be upset if gold plummeted for a little bit today and tomorrow. Because I'll set us up for more buy setups for next week. Right? So we're either going to see price just keep on flying, or we're going to see a retracement and we'll find some more buy setups. I definitely want to see a retest this level here and turn into support. But we'll just have to wait to see if price does that. But we finally did break out this consolidation right here. Same thing. This was just a larger scale consolidation, which is why price was ranging so much. So, y'all been here for a minute. I've been telling y'all long-term wise to invest in gold and crypto. Now, whether that's physical gold or you can invest in gold digitally, right? We have stocks where you can purchase like gold shares that follow gold. But also, that's why I told y'all to look into investing in crypto. You can buy it on the blockchain as well. All right, so you can also buy it on the blockchain. It's literally the exact same price, exact market structure. It's actually worth a little bit more. So on my end it says 35.60, but right here it's 35.43. So it's actually worth a lot more than it is right now. But If you look up on the blockchain, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Hacks G. I mean, I wouldn't recommend buying it now because there's fucking disrespect at all-time highs, but I'll wait for retracement. But you get the PAX G, that's put in the chat. That's gold on the blockchain. All right, so again, crypto's on discount. I got some videos dropping this weekend on some crypto updates. Stocks are on discount as well. I gotta drop some stock updates for you. I did drop some like a week or two ago, so make sure to check out the crypto altcoin analysis as well as the new Bitcoin analysis video I dropped for y'all. And then also check out the stock analysis because I dropped the update for a couple stocks like a week or two ago as well. And also, speaking of stocks, what is that video? Even though the stocks are down, these are cheaper, but I still have been eating weekly off of these 5 stocks, right? Or ETFs, I should say. Again, do your research, but again, if you get all of those, you're literally getting payouts or dividends, not payouts. You're getting paid out. It's not payouts every single week. One of them pays you out weekly, the rest are monthly. But if you buy all 5 of those, or even 4 out the 5, you'll literally get a dividend paid out to you every week of the month. So literally, since that video's dropped, I've gotten a shit ton of dividends. I dropped that video in June, July, August. So we're getting a shit ton of dividend payouts. So make sure to check that video out as well. Because again, you don't want to be like everybody else and buy shit after it hits all-time highs, after it's back to green. You want to buy things at discount. Just like when in April, everybody was talking about how the stock market was crashing. That's why in April, the end of quarter two, I told y'all to get y'all some stuff in crypto. And y'all know what happened. Y'all would have gone to these stocks and cryptos I talked about in April. You can be bad right now. You can be up right now. We just pushing, so that's nice. So now we're going to see if we can hold this level of support. So that's what we're looking for going into the web section. So again, the buy setup on Tuesday, was we on to go for that buy setup? No, because we was bullish. We clearly saw I did the move yesterday. It's doing the move right now. So now we're about to see if we can hold this level of support, which we failed to do so yesterday. Right? But again, this happened pre-New York. So we just held 930, we're able to hold the support. So again, just wait on breakout trend, we're gonna wait for the break and retest. So imagine how people get fucked up here because what's the difference between just like with the NAS100? Excuse me, just like with the NAS100. What's the difference here and here? You see that retest. See what I'm saying? I'm telling you, if y'all, that's why I know I'll be sounding like a broken tail, but if y'all review y'all's trades, specifically the losers, and if you break out trade, this is why I added this rule, because I say this all the time. I was reviewing my trades, and I noticed that I won a lot more trades that I waited for the retest confirmation on and be able to break out trades. Which is why now I wait for the retest confirmation. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be on for a little bit longer, y'all. We got a new 5 minutes about to pop up in a little bit as well. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. When we can be charged, drop them in the chat. Appreciate those that like the live, y'all. This time I know I've gotten busy because there was a time, maybe a year or two ago, where my phone was never, I'm not even exaggerating, my phone was never under 50%. Like that shit was always getting charged once it broke past 50%. But lately, I ain't gonna lie, my phone's died a few times. Usually, I used to never let my phone die, but I ain't gonna lie, my phone's died a few times. But if you would have known me a year or two ago, I used to roast people. They used to be like, "Oh, my phone's down. I need to charge." How the hell do you let your phone die? Like, how would you let your phone go to 0%? But here I am right now. My phone's on 8%, so I can't even talk no more. Like, I gotta get better with that. But it's also because my long charger broke. I used to have a 10-foot charger, and that shit got short in it, so it doesn't work no more. So that's also why my phone, because the chargers they have these too small and short, you can't really do too much with it being charged. So I need to get another big charger. Look at GJ go, man. Look at GJ go. So, yeah, so like I said, can't get excited yet. We need to see what the whole club has support because, like we've been talking about, I know it's not a broken record, but literally, this is why I always refer back to the daily time frame because we can literally see Price has been stuck playing this game since the middle of August and since literally July, right? Again, this was July. August 1st, we had that reversal because we had news on that Friday on August. Then we got Price reverse back, broke through it, but fell on that support, got sucked back into here, walking on what you call it Tuesday, but failed to hold that support. So now we're about to see if we can not only break it, but hold this low as support today, right? Because we got to break out of this job city, right? So in a perfect world, it'll do what gold did for us when we were stuck in that job city, which was just blow through that shit, right? Or like we saw GU do a few times. Um, you're right. Reverse blew through that shit, right? Blew through that shit. Blew through that shit. Blew through that shit. So that's what we're looking for GJ to do. Blew through that shit. It kind of looks like what GJ did, except this choppiness got stuck back into there. Right? So kind of like again, this ranginess that we're in is not a coincidence that we also had the same ranginess a couple months ago, right? Again, there's no coincidence in the market. more you back test and look at the charts, the more you're going to be able to explain and understand why price is doing what it's doing. And again, once you understand why price is doing what it's doing, whether you like, love, or hate it, you got to accept it and then just move from there. You understand? All right, y'all. So gonna be on the charts for the next hour. But most likely, I'm gonna take any sales till going into New York session. Again, we got three news events today. We have 8:15 ADP, 8:30 unemployment claims, and 10 a.m. ISM. Gonna go live with numbers during 8:15 news. Um, might stay on for 8:30. We'll see. And then we're gonna see what 9:30, 10 a.m. looks like. We're gonna look for a setup there. Most likely gonna be going live on TikTok today as well. Again, I gotta be a little bit. I can't be as frequent. I got a little bit safer on my TikTok page, but I'm not trying to start a new page again for like the fifth time. So that's why I'm gonna go live as often. But we'll be going live later on today on TikTok during the work session. So make sure that you guys know these on, and also make sure you're considering for Telegram so y'all know when I do the live. So GU might be trying to do the same we did right here. So you can look for short-term sales that we can maintain 34.40 as resistance going down to 34.20. Um, but long-term wise, like we talked about earlier, we need to hold 34.20 as resistance for that downtrend to come into play again. It's the same sell setup we went for on Wednesday last week. It's not a coincidence that price rejected here and rejected here today. It's also not a coincidence. Again, look at this is why you got to study the chart. Tuesday, Monday session, big ass reversal. Look where the volume coincidentally stopped at. Look where the retest coincidentally happened at. Where price was at support level last week. Got to twist. Again, that's how you want to trade. You want to enter buys off support levels like that turn from resistance to support, right? And we want to enter sells off. Can I find a good example of this? Try to find it. You want to buy sell, enter not buy sells, enter sells off of support levels, turn into resistance. All right. Shout out to everybody in the live. Shout out to everybody who's been live since the beginning. Shout out to everybody who's been live since y'all joined. Make sure to hit that first link in the description. Join free student, free Telegram, y'all. Again, you see how we ended last month. You see how we ended last week. We went absolutely crazy. For those that don't know how we ended last month, again, click that first link. We went 23-2 last month, giving us 90% win rate. Again, you would have literally just risked 1% of your account per trade, wins and losses combined, with about 40% minimum, which is not bad at all. As far as this month, again, the month started. Took the L on. We didn't take a trade Monday. Took the L on Tuesday. Didn't take a trade yesterday. For setups today, but we're still up from the week and for the month. Well, from the week last week and for the month last month, we're still up for the quarter. But again, we just gotta wait for the volume to kick in and roll. Now, GU, if it does not hold us up as resistance, we're not looking for subs. All right, pushes back above before we wrap this up. All right? So I'm leaning more towards sells, but if it does push above 3,500, you can look for buys. If it holds 3,500 back at support, you can look for buys. All right, we're going for buys here back in the day before the reversal took place, of course. But yeah, just gonna be watching the charts, like your favorite show, and then we're gonna see the New York sessions guys do.